Okay, welcome back to Corin's world. So we have a familiar face here, Miss Molly, my wife. So a lot of you recognize Molly from some of my food videos or the New Orleans trip vlog. Molly actually starred in our first episode on Corin's world that went absolutely viral. We had family members texting us, emailing us, calling us, Skyping us, typewritering us, pigeoning us, because she did such a phenomenal job. She did not win the argument, unfortunately, of TV on versus
False.
TV off, but she became a huge craze of our channel, and people obviously like what she says. They like her presence, her beautiful smile. So we have decided that Molly, I decided, with her approval, that she's gonna have her own playlist within Corin's world. What do we call it? Molly's Mind. So Molly's Mind is gonna be topics about anything. We have a lot of discussions on a daily basis talking about things related to our daughter, something that happens that we see while driving, or something in the store. A lot of different topics that we think pertain to everybody. So she is very opinionated. She's very intelligent. She is a master of Google. She is a master of YouTube and searching things and figuring out how stuff works. Or she's the mastermind behind all the vlogs and doing the editing with music. But anyway, to cut to the chase, she's on today because there's an important topic that she feels very strongly about, that I'm starting to feel strongly about, but I still haven't wrapped my mind around it totally. There's certain things that I do see good on it and good and bad on, but the topic is organic versus non-organic. So I'll just start with a little backstory. Our daughter is one. She eats pretty much all organic foods. But what sparked this conversation recently, and I got a little riled up as to like maybe we're doing a little too much, was Molly came home from a trip and she was very frantic, and it started with, we're doing everything all organic. So I'll let her, like just touch on the topic a little bit, but just understand that we we started our daughter off doing organic foods and all this, but now it's about to get taken to another level, I guess. So that was where my battle came in with it.
Yeah, so it's not even only just about Nix. It's not just about organic foods. It's about products. It's about even just what we eat, Corin's diet. I'm sure you're all aware from...
I'm not keeping organic.
Yeah, but from Kyle and Corin, from the White Castle video, from all of these things, not good. So for me personally, I feel very strongly about this, about organic foods, and now the new thing is organic products like shampoo, lotions, all of these things. And I'll talk a little bit in more detail on what the research that I've done, and I am by no means have no medical education. I have
like
a bachelor's
else,
and a master's, and not in the science field. But I do my own Googling and reading things, and I would be happy to hear from anyone in the comments on any insight they have, especially if they have medical information.
Medical information or personal experiences,
yeah, or
too.
personal experience. Okay, so let me just back up how I even got started in having an interest in this. So 2 years ago, this is a very personal thing for Corin and I, but 2 years ago in February 2017, we got pregnant, and that happened to be an ectopic pregnancy, so we lost the pregnancy. If you want to know more about that whole story, if you're interested, not sure if anyone on this channel who watches Corin is interested in that, but
we have some female viewers that are probably interested.
Maybe anyone is interested on what an ectopic even is and what happened to us. I made a video 2 years ago, and it's on my YouTube channel, so I'll link it, so if anyone wants to see, they could listen to that story. So anyways, we had an ectopic, and I lost a tube. And so anyone who knows anything about having babies, you have 2 tubes, and I lost 1. So we had to do fertility treatment to get pregnant with our daughter, Nix. And so after that, I just was doing a lot of reading about how to improve our chances of having a baby and just a whole bunch of other things. And I read this book called It Starts with the Egg, and in that book it talks about just like, it's more about like eating and products and all of these things, and what it does to our bodies, our hormones, and particularly for people who are trying to have kids and reproductive health. And that just really scared me, and I was like, wow, this is crazy, all of the things that are in our products and our food. So back then in 2017, I changed all of our cleaning products to like natural products, got rid of like Clorox brand and bleaches and things that are really bad, that have an impact on your that maybe go into your bloodstream because your hands touch them, whatever.
Well, just to interrupt real quick, I know there's products that like Johnson & Johnson makes that,
oh my
like,
God, that
there's
are
been
horrible.
tons of lawsuits
Yeah.
that I tell Jed about, because he uses like baby powder in his shoes because his feet stink. But that was a huge lawsuit that was for millions of dollars because the odor was causing cancer or something like that. So
Yeah. So all of these products, and then I also know with food, there's, I mean, really with the food piece, I had heard about the Dirty Dozen. If you don't know about it, look it up. But basically, it's 12 foods that have like the most pesticides and chemicals on those. It's fruits and vegetables. And those you should always buy organic. So if I'm ever buying anything on the Dirty Dozen, it's always organic. So that's like strawberries, apples, potatoes, celery.
bananas?
Not bananas. So there's 12. I don't know all 12 off the top of my head. And then there's a Clean 15. And the Clean 15, you can eat all of those non-organic. So if you're deciding between the two, Dirty Dozen, always buy organic. Clean 15, either way is fine. So Clean 15, like sweet potatoes, pineapple, I don't know them all.
Is that bananas?
So, I don't know if bananas on the...
Where are my bananas?
I mean...
No, I know.
would
So
think-
there's, so
yeah.
wait, so explain it to me because I don't pay attention to all this stuff.
No.
So there's 12,
Fruits and vegetables. It's actually 14, but they still call it the Dirty Dozen.
okay.
That you should always buy organic.
Okay.
Like apples, like number one, always buy organic.
Okay.
Because they spray them with so much pesticides that it's like you can't even get them off. Even if you use a veggie wash, you're not getting them off. And like
So when
all
I use
of
just a
those,
paper towel and a little bit of
it's
water,
no. That
nothing's
like you're
happening.
100% not getting it off.
Okay.
And then there's the Clean 15 that it's like if you can't get organic, it's okay. And if you're trying to save money and you're like, well, I can only buy some things organic, you should always buy the Dirty Dozen organic, and the Clean 15, those are good. You can say, okay, I'm not gonna buy this, but like grapes, Dirty Dozen. So like things that they make a lot of, and especially if they're not in season, like there's a whole bunch of things. And you guys can do more research on it if you even care about this stuff.
You'll be getting a lot of homework in Molly's mind.
Yeah,
That's her task is if you have an argument with her,
No.
it's where did you get your research from and
I'm
back
not-
it up with facts.
I'm not talking about
Which-
like research, like bring me a white paper. I'm just saying like he'll come to me and he'll say, well, I don't agree with that. And I say, well, like, what do you have to back it up? You can't just back it up with a feeling that you're right. Like that White Castle is a healthy, healthy
never
meal
said
for
that.
I know, but that's just an example. Okay, so that's one thing, fruits and vegetables. But then like eggs and meats and all those things, they're pumping those animals with like hormones, like
Steroids.
growth hormones. Like why do you think like Quincy in his class, my little brother, is like 6'3" and he was considered like short? Like that's not normal. And so they're pumping all of these animals with hormones and antibiotics
why are they doing that?
to like
produce
mass
more food?
produce. And you know, they put chickens in like cages, and like then they're like their feces is like in the air, and then like we're eating that. So when you buy eggs that you get 59 cents at Meijer's, yeah, they're 59 cents, but those eggs, first of all, if you care anything about animals, what they do to them is horrible. Second of all, it's like what's in their food is like not good.
Well, I mean,
it's
yeah,
just
that's
like,
why they're...
and I have my phone because I knew we were going to
Is
be
it on
talking about
silent?
this. No. Okay. So I knew we were going to be talking about this, and I have to find which one. Okay. Let me just read this. Depending on where you're getting your eggs, you could be getting a lot more stuff you don't want. First, you'll get some arsenic added to the food to promote growth in hens, but linked to various forms of cancer in people. An extra dose of antibiotics, also used to promote growth, but linked to antibiotic resistance and even obesity in people. Then add a heaping helping of salmonella. In 2010, study published in the Journal of Veterinary Record found that the eggs from hens confined to cages, as they often are in factory farms, had 7.7 times greater odds of harboring salmonella bacteria than eggs from non-caged hens. So that's just one example. Like, if I didn't look up cows and meats and all these other things, but you're putting arsenic in your body by eating these things, and so what does that mean? Okay, what's the big deal? If you just look up the rise in colon and rectal cancer, both of those cancers, or look it up, in people our age, in people in their 20s to like 40s, it's like skyrocketed how many people, which is terrifying, people our age getting like colon cancer, because I don't know the exact reasons behind it, but I didn't look up like why specifically do they think that is on the rise. But my just guess would be all of this extra crap we're putting in our body, like especially in your colon, that stuff sits in your gut. And
so I just get,
it's just like wild.
I see your point, obviously, of like all this extra stuff that is definitely not good for us. But then, like, to a personal story of ours, our daughter is like highly allergic to peanuts and nuts and all this stuff. And like, you've done a very good job of like eating clean and doing all this stuff organically when you were pregnant. How did she develop a peanut allergy?
Okay, first of all, let me back up. When I was pregnant, I was not eating healthy. We were eating like ramen noodles and mac and cheese on the regular because we were just like in that mode. So, I mean, I myself, like, I have done paleo before. I will like eat clean and I love to eat that way. But sometimes, like, I travel a lot for work. It just, that's an excuse, but I feel like it's not realistic all the time. I would love to. But when I buy food for our house, I 100% buy like healthy food. You will not see me go and buy a bag of Doritos, buying junk food. Like, I don't buy that stuff. Buy it all. But when I'm out and like we go out to dinner, like, I'm not someone who's like, oh my gosh, I can never have that stuff. That's not my feelings on it. But when I buy food for our house, and especially when we're feeding our daughter, I just feel like it's different from when we were kids. Like, the amount of stuff they put in fruit, it's just different. Like I said to my mom the other day, I said, I don't even remember like seeing organic stuff as kids. Like, that wasn't a thing. Yeah. But it also wasn't a thing to.
But we made it out okay.
It's different now. The way they're producing food is different.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, that wasn't a thing back then.
So
but it's a thing
you're saying
now.
That since we were kids, the food
changed.
companies have gotten a lot worse with.
And like the additives, they ban one thing, then they find another way to put something else in, and it's just.
Because from what I've seen, I've always seen articles that like they crack down more on like these food companies.
They crack down on some things, but then they find other ways around certain things. So finding things, I also pulled this up like around. Are the labels like, if it says natural? If it says natural, that means nothing. That there's no really like strict regulations. If it says organic, like. I won't read this, but if it says organic, like, you can trust that it's been through all these different things, that means like no pesticides were used. And that's on anything, not just fruits and vegetables. Like, even if you're buying like oatmeal, like the oats, if it's not organic, were probably sprayed with pesticides. So it's like things that are processed foods are all contain some type of ingredient. Or even like corn is basically all genetically modified. So if you're buying something even with like corn syrup, like some type of sugar in it, then it's like genetically modified. Like, that's just not good. But then let me just back up. So
You've backed up a lot.
I want to go back to the product.
Okay.
No, I want to get back to the product. So that's the food piece.
I think we understand the food piece of it.
Yeah.
If we start moving into the product side, and this is where I got a little.
Because this was a new thing. This was a new thing. This was like a last week that I had like this like aha moment, like wow. Yeah. And then I went to the store and literally bought all.
So we agree on the food. I obviously think that people out there should start looking organically.
And yourself.
Yourself. I'm probably not the best person talking about.
But let me just say what happens in our household. I literally buy eggs for me and Nick's that are cage-free organic eggs. And then Corin buys his own eggs that are not. And anytime
it's tough for a lot of people to have organic because it's expensive.
But that's why I just said there's like things that you can like when you're buying meats and like eggs, like products of animals, you should buy those organic. Yes, it's more expensive, but you shouldn't be buying like meats filled with hormones and antibiotics.
Okay, I got that.
And then like fruits and vegetables.
Food we understand.
Okay, but you just said it's not sustainable. Like, you have to pick and choose. Okay, the product piece of it. So. Also, I mean, this is a very new thing for me, but, also a very personal thing for Corin and I. Just last month, we lost another pregnancy. So, that's really hard to deal with. I think for me, I don't know, I can't speak for Corin, but it's been very hard to deal with. And so our doctor says probably the best way for us to have a baby is through IVF, and I'm like trying to figure out what I can do to control some of these things. And so thinking back to that book I read, I've just been doing a lot of my own reading about the products that we use. And so sulfates, parabens, phthalates, all of these things that are in products that we use every single day. So we're rubbing lotion on our skin that if it has fragrance in it, if it has all these things in it, that then goes into your bloodstream and really messes with your hormones. I mean,
well, here's one of my dumb arguments that like
Yeah.
you'll say I don't have any facts on or anything to back it up, but this is just like how people think. And
Yeah.
a lot of the times when I think something, I'll go to the doctor and they say the same exact thing that I'm saying. Like, yes, they're educated, they're very smart, they've done
Yeah.
all the research in science, but there's also just like, I don't know, I think like basic common sense to things. So like you're trying to switch everything up now, which is great. But you're 29 years old. You've been putting this stuff on your body for 29
Absolutely.
years. Like, it's
Yeah,
gonna
a
be
lot of
hard
damage
to
is
like.
already done.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
starting now for a couple months, in my opinion, is gonna be tough. And any doctor would say,
Listen.
29 years versus a couple months, it's not really gonna make a difference.
that's I totally get what you're saying, but that's a horrible stance to take. That's like
It is
saying
bad stance. Yeah, I know.
I've smoked cigarettes my whole life. I'm not gonna
I
I'm
understand.
not
And
gonna
that's
stop
why-
because I already
yeah.
have you know.
That's the
like,
Bernie Sanders argument is like, there's gonna be no free college for all. But it's like, no, if you bring it on the table and start
Yeah,
finding
and you
ways,
start- exactly.
eventually our kids.
And I hear
and it
you,
gets
like
better.
the damage is already done. And I mean, anyone who knows anything about fertility stuff, like 1 in 8 people have difficulty getting pregnant. 1 in 4 people suffer a miscarriage. We've lost in 2 years. We've lost 2 pregnancies. Like that to me is what I was like. This is a problem. And then when I think of my daughter, like I don't want her to have like issues. It's you know just it's a hormonal thing, and that's like for me what is the problem. Like so I pulled something else up. I know, but this is related to parabens. I have to okay.
Can you explain what parabens are?
It's just a product that from what I understand, parabens help to like keep it fresher. It's
Okay.
like inside of like lotions and things like that.
Okay.
What worries public health advocates is that while individual products may contain limited amounts of parabens within safe limits set by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, cumulative exposures to the chemicals from several different products could be overloading our bodies and contributing to a wide range of health problems. Of greatest concern is that parabens are known to disrupt hormone function, an effect that is linked to increased risk of breast cancer and reproductive toxicity. Reports of the nonprofit campaign for Safe Cosmetics said that. Parabens mimic estrogen by binding to estrogen receptor cells. Research has shown that the perceived influx of estrogen beyond normal levels can in some cases trigger reactions such as increasing breast cell division and the growth of tumors. That's just one example. And like it just like is crazy to think about like my own experiences and what we've been through the last couple of years and our struggles, and like thinking that if there's anything that I can do to control these things. And I've also read it's extremely difficult to get rid of parabens that are already in your bloodstream. So it's not easy to do, but you know, it's not even only about having kids, but it's like I don't want breast cancer, you know, just from products I'm using because of what's included in them. And I can buy, you know, products that are maybe a couple, you know, dollars or cents, depending what it is, more, and not risk these things. And it's like, I know a lot of people don't care about this, and I feel passionate about it just because of my personal experiences and what has happened to us over the last 2 years. And the more I read about it, I'm like, it's sickening that this is allowed and that this is in our products. And then I was thinking, like, Nyx, and this is what I said to Corin the other day, is like, we need to get rid of all of our diapers and use organic, like, diapers. They put bleach and chlorine, is it chlorine? I might be wrong on that, in baby diapers. So it's like, when they pee and then that they sit in that's like all up in their genital region. Like, that's disgusting.
So
and
the organic diapers that doesn't happen?
They're
no
like
chlorine?
plant-based. They're like made from plants and like natural things, like real, like, like chamomile, lavenders, like these type of things versus like harsh sulfates, parabens.
I also tend to think, and again, this is no science behind it, and it's a dumb statement, but I sometimes will, am just thinking. My mind when it comes to organic is usually like not a big factory, like just a couple people working on it, like a small mom and pop. That's why maybe things are a little bit more expensive because they're using natural products. So the product is not as good. So like,
I wouldn't
obviously,
say it's not as good, but it's probably.
like,
I mean,
so
the
obviously,
reason why,
like, I don't want a diaper that has Corin that if Nick's pees or any baby pees, it's going to be sitting in there. But if we buy something organic, maybe the diaper's not as good where she takes a shit.
Yeah,
and
I know
it's
what
like
you're saying.
it sits in her back, so it counteracts because the diaper's not as good.
But there's even, there's even products that are made with these horrible chemicals that aren't as good.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But I mean, like for us, we tried the Honest Company diapers, which are supposed to be non-chemicals, all good stuff, and it didn't work. I hated them. It wasn't good. And so, I mean, obviously, there's so many more brands now, though. This is like with the organic food, like how I said, I don't ever remember that as a kid. Like these new brands of diapers, like the one we just bought, I'm looking at over there. There is this lotion we bought in diaper. It's called Hello Bello, and it's made. Corin isn't a fan of this celebrity, but Dax Shepard and his wife Kristen Bell created a line. But there's celebrities who have kids who are like, when they have the money to put behind it and they have kids and they say, I don't want that stuff on my diapers, they can invest and do that kind of thing.
I see that, but they don't have as much money as like Aveeno or like Lubriderm.
No,
or
absolutely.
It's got a big factory with scientists. And
again, that's an argument that's like, well, I'm not a big player with a lot of money in the market. I'm just never going to put my idea out there. You know, I can't compete with Amazon, so I'm never going to
But a lot of those
idea.
companies, too, while you think that they're doing good things, like if you pull behind the curtain, it's not that good either.
But again, there's a lot of, like, regulations, and I don't know about Hello Bello if, I don't know. There's, like, regulations on things that you advertise a certain way and that you can market a certain way on things. And, I mean, if you look at the ingredients on their products versus if you look at the things on, like, a Johnson & Johnson, you can see that there's, like, 6 ingredients versus 79 ingredients that, like, you're like, oh, this alcohol, benzyl, whatever, and whatever. And you're like, no shit, this is giving me diaper rash and
I definitely think it's a good start.
And the other thing is, like, we don't have any allergies, like food allergies, neither of us. You have a lot of nature allergies, but we have no food allergies in either of our family. No one. And here Nick's is with like a severe peanut allergy. And the only thing I can think of is all of the things. And blueberries. Is all of the things we're putting in our body and how that's affecting us. I don't know.
No, I mean, so you make a good argument. I'm playing devil's advocate, obviously, to get these views to go. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think, and not as strongly because, even just hearing some of these articles, because I don't think you've ever really expressed it to me to that extent. I obviously have always heard organic versus non-organic, and I've seen it in the supermarket and just thought like, oh, I'm not getting organic. It's more expensive. But when you actually sit down and read the causes of stuff that are in regular foods and regular products, then now it is an option where I will start looking closely at organic products. And I think the news needs to do a better job of explaining this stuff because I don't ever hear about it on TV. Like, I don't listen to really baby podcasts or anything like that, but like, I'm sure it gets spoken about, but not to the extent that it needs to if this is the cause of things.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think what really triggered this and why I even cared is because of losing pregnancies. Yeah. I mean, I think that I was like, oh my gosh, why is this happening to us?
And I think
it happens to a lot of people. And so that's what triggered it. But you're right, like we don't hear about this and this whole colon cancer thing, like nobody talks about that. And that's scary. Yeah. You just think, oh, like, you don't even need to get tested for these cancers or whatever because it's usually like when you're older you start getting colonoscopies, things like that. But I was just reading this article about how it's just skyrocketed and it's like, whoa, that absolutely has to do with the things we're putting in our body by food, but also what we're putting on our skin that then gets absorbed into our bloodstream and sits in our body.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I mean, like I said, I think there's always arguments on both sides of it. You know, when I go to the beach, I am not a big fan of suntan lotion and all this stuff. And maybe is that a better route because I'm not putting products on my face that are getting absorbed in there?
It's not. Like, skin cancer is a real thing. And I know you're like, oh, well, I tan well or whatever. Like, that's a real thing. Like, you should be putting sunscreen on every single day. Like, winter and everything.
Organic sunscreen.
Yeah, and like, not all there's not a lot of products that are like listed. I was actually looking for a new baby sunscreen because we've been using this one called Blue Lizard, and there's this app, and you know, this is just like me freely talking about things that I like, called Think Dirty. And this app rates products 1 to 10. I'm sorry, 0 to 10. 0 to 3 means they're good to use, they're green. You know, 4 to like 6, maybe 4 to 5 or 4 to 6 is
and just so you know,
not very good.
Yeah.
Maybe have mild, longer term health effects. 7 through 10 is red, like do not use. Like Johnson & Johnson baby products, all of them are red, do not use. Like Coppertone sunscreen, red, do not use.
That's the
like,
same company that makes tires, Coppertone? I think so. Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it's the same name,
Yeah,
different companies. But it's crazy because you would think it's a baby product, like you should be able to use it. It's safe. It's not safe, and it's like wild. But even for adults, and so yeah, you should be using sunscreen, but there's other options out there that aren't made with like, and active sunscreen means like it's going into your bloodstream. Mineral sunscreen sits on top of your skin, so you would get like a mineral sunscreen that like sits on top of your skin.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is super, and just so people know, can you like put all those links and apps on the bottom of the video somehow or something that like you referenced? Or, like, because like you named a lot of things, you read some different sources, so like I want people to know that like you've done your research. I have not. My sources
and
are right here.
And this is all my research. Like, I didn't. This is not like white paper research. So anyone in the comments who wants to like call me out for being wrong, please let me know. Like if I'm wrong, and maybe this is all, you know, bullshit. But I do. You know, I just go on Google and I look for different things, and then I also will just kind of do my own. Like, I know personally from personal experience of all these different hormone things and how they have impacted my life. I've had about 900 blood tests over the last 2 years. Like, that is not a joke. And all of these different tests and things that have impacted me. And I think some people are probably just more sensitive to things than others. Some people have no issues at all, but I think me personally, I've always had a lot of sensitivities, and so I don't know. I think it just is impacting me harder, but I think it's just that much more important. I mean, people who eat healthy make such a big deal about like what you eat, so it's also important to make sure like what you're putting on your skin that eventually gets into your body too is important as well. But I'll link as much stuff below for anyone who cares. And then, like I said, I talked about some of the stuff on my channel, so I'll link that below as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's very interesting, and obviously now that we have a daughter, like this is stuff that before I had a child, I never once thought about. Like I said, I'd go to the supermarket, it's organic versus non-organic. I'd be like, that's more expensive. I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. But if you have kids, if you are potentially going to have kids, I mean, even for yourself, the way you eat. I know a lot of people say they listen to Kyle and Corin and my videos while they're gaming, so you're probably eating some snacks or something like that, but make it an organic snack.
So let's see how
after
Corin has
the
this
White Castle
information.
video. No, I am going to go back to eating healthy.
Let me just also say, when Corin and I first got together, and probably for a good like 4 or 5 years, like his diet was like chicken and broccoli, like rice,
turkey
rolled up, like very, very healthy. And then, you know, we were really into CrossFit, and then we moved to Illinois and kind of fell off a bit, but then we'd like get back on.
I go in waves, so now my next wave will be an organic wave.
Ever since you really got pregnant with Nix, I think you've been on a downward spiral.
And it'll go back up. I mean, it goes in waves. So, I mean, the next part of the Corin's World channel might be my healthy transition. Yeah. Who knows? But this is super informational. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It was informative, educational. I think Molly's Mind is going to be an awesome little playlist because this is what I deal with on a daily basis. I mean, like, if it's not organic versus organic, organic
We
versus non-organic. It's
basically
like TV
do
on
not
versus-
agree about anything. Like, it's very limited the topics we agree on.
But and this will maybe be another
I
show.
think
We'll wrap
that's-
it up soon. But
yeah.
I think people have conversations. You don't always have to back up your conversation with stats and statistics and your resources. You hear things and you learn things over time, and that's where you develop your thoughts from. And you can believe in something without knowing where your information came from. It's not the best way to go about
a common argument
things.
between Corin and I, because I always say, where's your research? And I feel like he thinks I mean, like, did you go to the library, get out all the books, and do research? Like, no, that's not what I mean. I just mean, like, when you come at me and say, let me give you a really good example. Vaccinations. We vaccinate our child. But the flu shot, that's an optional vaccination for everybody. And so
I don't think I've ever gotten the flu shot.
you got a flu shot when I was pregnant at the same
no,
time
that, no,
as the
that
Tdap.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't
He
think
did.
I've ever gotten a flu shot prior to
Right.
that.
So when we were
And Dad,
pregnant
Mom,
with,
if you're listening, correct us in the comment section. But I don't think I ever did. I never really got the flu. I got that flu
you
shot.
didn't get the flu though.
I got a strain of the flu, and I was dead that night.
He didn't get a strain of the flu. He talked about this on Kyle and Corin.
We'll talk about the.
but-
That'll be another episode.
No,
Let's-
okay. But let me just give the example
Wrap it up, 'cause I think
okay,
people get the point.
Okay, when I said we're gonna give Nix the flu shot, he said I really don't want to give her the shot, and I said okay, if you don't want her to get the flu shot, we get all the other vaccinations. I need to know why. I need to know like what research you've done that tells why you don't want to do it. And I asked for research because you can't just say it's like I just don't want to. That's an important thing. Like if a kid gets the flu, it's like fatal in a lot of cases.
We'll do another.
So
wrap your point
all
up.
I said was, did you do research? And ever since then, he thinks I mean like deep textbook research. I don't, but like just give me some examples of why on any topic.
I'm the example.
I cannot.
Molly's Mind. This is technically the second, but officially the first.
No, because I'm gonna go back and rename the first one and make a separate
But
playlist.
tell us if you like this type of channel for Molly.
Yeah, leave comments. I love comments, and I actually respond a lot.
She tells me to respond more to people,
My
which I will
channel
do.
name is Rosetta Gwendolyn. I have two middle names, and those are my middle names. And if you're confused on who that is, it's me.
So thank you for watching this one. I'll put the Twitter poll will probably be up after this video goes up, but I will put if you've been interested in organic versus non-organic, because I'm curious. Products and food.
And if you have any good recommendations for products or food.
Yeah, let us know. We're open. Just if you shoot shots at us in the comments, we're firing back at you. Just kidding. But subscribe, do whatever. Share this to someone who you want to get healthy, that you feel is eating non-healthy, that hasn't been eating organic, that you've been trying to sway them on, a vegan person, whatever. Let them know. But Molly's Mind. Deuces.